Trick Studios. It's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
You know, I thought it was a good idea to let Chuck actually say that this morning. You know, normally we kind of cut him off.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
We do. And, you know,
Can
the
you
poor
hear my mic?
guy. Can I hear your mic? I don't know.
Is my mic
Hey,
live?
I like this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he
I
cuts
like
my
this
mic
guy.
off.
I like this guy.
Yeah, if he's going to cut my mic from the beginning,
We need
it's
to-
all good then.
We need to pay him double.
And speaking of good, we've got Dr. Good
We've got
with us.
Ask Dr. Be Good.
Good morning.
Morning, everyone. Happy already 4th, but worth saying again.
There you go.
It was a great weekend. I hope you had as much patriotism being shown by neighbors as we did. It was a wonder to watch.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that because, you know, you hear of so many folks putting down our country right now. There's an article that JP and I are going to talk about sometime here in the near future with college kids dogging America. And so in order to, you know, when you hear of, now I'm kind of real.
Oh,
now I'm too loud.
Good morning.
So when you hear that, you know, you're out at the lake and you've got all your neighbors and everybody's all happy and patriotic and proud of their country, that does your heart good because that's the way it should be all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if people went out of their way to decorate their boats and their docks and their lake houses. There was so much patriotic stuff, you know, everywhere, and I hadn't seen that in a while. So
love it,
it
love it, love it, love
in
it.
Ohio, when I, so the article that caught my eye this week was the statewide math learning loss. I know we've talked about our STAR scores. The learning losses across the state, as we've talked about, were bad. Now we have the Dallas County ones in, and goodness gracious. Let me fill your heads with a little data here. First of all, they had it between 3rd and 8th grade, the scores, and every score went down. In Dallas County, almost all of them were 40% loss or more, whereas previously, for example, previously in Carrollton Farmers Branch, it had been 36, it went to 64%. Okay, Cedar Hill was 45 in 2019, it went to 64% loss. Dallas was 42 in 2019, it went to 71% loss. DeSoto, 52 in 2019, it went to 71% loss. Duncanville ISD was 39% 2 years ago, 64%. And rough. Lancaster, it was 26% in 2019, went to 62%. Garland, 33%, went to 72%. And Richardson was 37% 2 years ago, 69% loss. That's what we're talking about. I mean, phenomenal losses. So their talk is now to rethink the way we teach math, not only because of the pandemic. We were having math losses before, right? Kids struggled with math before the pandemic, but now they're showing us, first of all, virtual, except for the anomaly kid, it's just not a good way of teaching. They don't have the manipulatives at home. They don't have the small groups at home. They don't have just that peer group of wanting to learn together. All of that stuff wasn't there, and it obviously made a difference. So just phenomenal loss. So just parents, if you're in Dallas County, chances are your child lost a lot of ground in math, probably in reading as well. But as we reported before, the math scores took the biggest hit, whereas in the past, reading usually was lower.
Right.
So, what to do about that? As I've suggested on my show before, there's opportunities just everywhere this summer to not only do reading, but also math. The schools have reading and math softwares that they always would like for parents to encourage their kids to do during the summer. This would be an especially good summer to, half an hour every day of one, right?
Yeah.
Math today, reading tomorrow, alternate it so you don't make it too much of drudgery, but the urgency is certainly there.
Yes.
And even before the pandemic, in the article, it reported that it took up to 2 years to mitigate learning loss in kids. And so being able to mitigate what's happened during the pandemic in 2 years will be a miracle.
Yeah, it will be.
Stay focused.
So, Dr. Good, do they ever catch back? I mean, do you ever catch up with a loss like this?
It depends. It depends on it really is almost like a perfect storm. You have to have a great school, a great teacher, great parents that motivate this kid to move forward. Can it be done? Yes. Matter of fact, I've reported we've had a lot of immigrant kids from Croatia and war-torn, ravaged countries that come here when they're 10 or 12, and they really haven't had much academic time in their country because of the war. They come here and they succeed. And so we can't write off every kid because of the pandemic. We can't. But we have to make sure that the elements are in place, and that includes a very focused set of parents and making sure the school is doing what they're supposed to be doing. As we talked about, I believe last week, we talked about the accelerated learning committee that is now going to make sure that any child who did not meet or who approaches, remember the 4 levels. And I'm doing teaching, right? I'm going over what I've taught previously to teach to the gaps, but that's how we learn, right?
Yeah. I mean, these are staggering numbers. I mean, JP, and you're working with truancy.
There's 4 levels will now be considered failing, whereas approaches used to be considered passing. And then if the child did not take the STAR test because he or she was virtual and did not want to come to the school, or the parents have a problem with STAR, they will be put in the accelerated learning group. So that's just what the state is telling schools to do with classifying kids. And then, if you'll remember, 3-to-1 in a group, unless the parents agree to a larger group. Every parent in that larger group must sign off that they're okay with a larger group than 3 for their tutoring. So, I mean, things are in place. Now we have to make sure that the schools carry it out faithfully, and that parents are stay on top of it. And again, that's always my message. Parents, you're the child's first teacher. You're the child's greatest advocate. You must make sure the schools are doing this. Please, please, please. It's having faith in your school. It means that you're possibly putting your child at risk, your child's learning at risk. So we all want to trust our schools, but trust but verify.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Approach.
One of the observations, and this may be taking us back a little bit, but was waiting to jump in. When I did math wasn't so intensified in reading. When I did math in elementary school, for example, I remember doing the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, 30 problems or 40 problems on a page in 60 seconds, right? Start the clock, here we go. That was our repetitive math drill in elementary school.
Timed math test.
Timed math.
Yes.
Well, and our teacher Mr. Omada didn't count it as a test, right? It was a daily function. It was something we did. We came in.
You sat down.
You sat down. That was get our brain going kind of a deal, right?
Yep.
And I loved doing it. Like, it was competitive for me. And so I always had my 40 problems done way ahead of the 60 seconds, and always got them 100% right.
Well, you always had like the group, your desk mates, that we called them, and you wanted to be the first one to put your pencil down, man. That was like, I slammed mine down first.
Right, and I don't remember in elementary school math being so reading intensive. So when Katerina goes through school, all of a sudden math is really no longer math. It's reading intensive math problems. And of course, Katerina had dyslexia. And so Katerina's biggest issue is having to read those math problems, right? Well, it turned out that was okay for her. Math really got her later on in high school. But I think, to me, that seems to be a big difference between my era, which would have been high school in the 80s, graduating in 90, versus what Katerina went through, which was long reading math problems in elementary school.
You just gave me an idea for a portion of my show, and that is to throw up a few questions from the 6th grade reading math state test. I challenge any parent who is curious about what you just said to go to the release star on the Texas Education Agency website and look at the sixth grade math test. It is paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. There are very few just pure computation problems anymore. And so part of what we have to train kids now in math is to identify unnecessary information in the narratives of those test items. And so it's just not about solving the math problem. It's about trying to understand the narrative enough to see if they've thrown in some things in there that are there to fool you. You know, we always try to tell kids that a lot of our test questions are there to sort of trick kids into choosing the wrong answer. So it's very, very intense. That's a good word for our state tests anymore.
So I guess my question is, Dr. Good, and because I don't know, because you know I was a judge for 30 years during this time frame, but I wasn't in the classroom, and until Katerina, I didn't know that we had switched over and kind of abandoned basic math skills and arithmetic for reading problems to build our math skills. When did that transition happen, where we left doing those division and multiplication tables and, you know what I'm saying, and then working into algebra and then algebra 2 and geometry? And
I think there was a slow creep because when I started in 1986, one of the early tests, the teams or the tabs, started, and I think the every time we changed to a new test type, you know, from tabs to teams to tax to star, things got harder. And so there's been a creep up, more narrative added to the word problems every time the test style changed.
you know what's interesting is I talked to my buddies who were doing engineering, aerospace, engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering. They're not telling me they're doing word problems. You know, they're telling me they're using equation-based math, that they're having to problem solve. And so it almost seems like we've taken away from the engine. I remember, was it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were having a shortage in engineers, and we felt like our math wasn't geared towards engineers anymore. And really, until you get to probably algebra 2, trig, or calculus, you're really not playing in the engineer world anymore.
You know, if the business world needs for the test to change, they need to become vocal with their legislators. That's how it works. We're all very curious who is advising our legislators, because they vote on things, and we get these laws that have all these pieces to it, and it's like, who did this? Who advised them? It wasn't any of us in the field. So we get hit with this stuff, you know, blindsided a lot of times. And, you know, matter of fact, that's something you might ask Van Taylor, since he was in the state legislation body before going to Congress. You might ask him if you run out of things to talk about. Right. What does he remember from his legislative days as far as the state test, and who was advising legislators and so forth? That might be a great segment.
Yeah, that really would be, because, I mean, again, I don't understand it. I mean, my math skills today, you know, I can take large-scale problems of multiplication, addition, grocery store, Home Depot, and I am able to use my math skills from elementary school.
Oh, absolutely. And even the word problems that we had in elementary school, you know, if you're on a bus and, you know, you travel so many miles, and, you know, some basic things like that, which I always hated word problems. But those are the things that would come up in everyday kind of day-to-day tasks, so to speak. I just wonder, you know, we got, you know, it worked out for all of us. Okay. You know, Dr. Good, you did very well in life. JP's doing well. I'm doing all right. You know, hey, so at some point, you know, if it worked for us, if it worked for our parents, if it worked for our grandparents, then why do we have to switch everything up and trick everything up when our kids came along?
You know, those are actually political questions, and
They
people think
are.
they're math questions,
Yep.
they're school questions, but those are actually all. It all involves politics. It all starts in your legislative body.
Yep.
And so you're making me very curious. I may have to pop into Paxton and Leach's office and see if they will answer some of these questions. I think that would be a great segment.
Yep.
I do too.
I think so. So,
Yeah.
And you're welcome. We just produced a new show for you.
Well, and before we bring Van on, I wanted to kick this out your way. I don't know if you've heard Weingarten come on this morning and claim that the National Teachers Union is willing to, I guess they're getting ready to pack up millions of dollars in their legal defense fund, and any teacher that is censored or disciplined for teaching critical race theory, they're going to take it to court, by golly. And so I don't know.
I did not. Was that
if
out this
you-
morning? I
yeah,
did
it's
not
out
hear
this
that yet.
morning.
Wow.
Don't know if you heard. I mean, I listened to her
Well,
interview. She didn't say by golly, by the way. I added by golly.
I think we need to do a full stop on all this, and have the right understanding. I don't think teachers are being told don't teach about diversity, don't teach about cultural differences, but somehow that's the message that's being received, and so we've mixed it up again. Doggone it! Somehow have messed up our message again, and of course we need our teachers to help our kids understand and appreciate diversity. Nobody's saying don't do that, but it's being wrapped up around CRT, and then throw the baby out with the bathwater, right?
Right. Right. Which we're real good at that. Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious, yes. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yep. Definitely. And we'll definitely keep talking about that, because that seems to be just the hot topic. Anybody who's talking about running for re-election for school board, or who is running for the first time coming up this next cycle, that's the number one question that literally seems to be the litmus test at this point.
Yeah, we haven't gotten our narrative right around helping. I'll take it as helping our children, but it's really our society be able to speak comfortably about diversity and the differences in culture that leads to appreciating the cultures. And that we have one race, right? It's a human race.
Right.
Let's concentrate on one race, many cultures, and appreciating the cultures, and then maybe we can stop all this hate.
Boy, wouldn't that be? Then you need to run for president. If you've got that figured out, 2024 is your year.
Well, I'm running for HOA in our neighborhood.
There you go. Okay. I love it. And good luck.
One step at a time. All right.
Well, Dr.
everyone.
Good, thank you.
Great information. Good
Ask
to see
Dr.
you.
Be Good on Sundays. 8
Absolutely.
o'clock in
Don't
the
want to
morning.
miss
That's
it.
right. Don't miss out. All right. Thank you, Dr. Be Good.
Later. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, and again, critical race theory, you and I are going to take that up further down the road here.
Yeah.
Because one of the comments that Weingarten made this morning was that teachers should be allowed to teach historical truth. Well, and I reflect back at this point, I thought that that's what school boards were for in the State Board of Education.
Was she
were to
saying
hand
that
down
they're
the teaks and hand down, what had to be taught and the way it was to be taught. And I know a lot of teachers left teaching because they wanted more freedom to teach the way they wanted to teach, and they weren't allowed to, right? And so I just don't understand. I mean, you don't get a free card to teach whatever you want.
Well, and here's an issue. And I just recently helped tutor somebody for a test, and I looked at I'm using air quotes, study guide, and I thought, wait a second. So when your teacher lectured you, or what book did they use, or what this? No, just YouTube videos and things like that. And so I'm like, it just kind of makes you wonder where are teachers? Again, I had a syllabus. I had certain things that I had to teach, and so you do so, and you don't deviate from the norm. It's not Kathy's public school system,
Right.
I don't know.
Good morning there, Congressman Taylor.
Hello. you, Congressman.
Uh-oh, we're losing sound.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
There we go.
There it is.
There we go. He hit JP, he hit Kathy, and he
And
hit the crew.
just like
See,
always.
I've missed
We
that.
love
I've missed
it.
that. Good morning, good morning, good morning. He's the only one that's ever picked that up, by the way.
I know, and I love that.
You know, what it tells me is he's a higher intellect like my father. 'Cause
There
my
you
father
go.
would have picked
Would
that
do
up.
something like that, yes.
Right, because it's only appropriate, right? Sorry about that there, Congressman Taylor. We've been kicking around the Weingarten press conference and what the NEA is saying now, and so we won't drag you into that conversation just yet. But I know we touched on infrastructure. We spent a lot of time last week on the border because that is a major concern for Texans.
Crucial, yeah.
I know that we had a lot of people with a lot of questions on the feed. I don't know if Anna went back and saw some of the questions about what are we actually going to do on the border. But I'm really curious why it is Republicans are signing off. What's that?
If I could,
Yeah.
if I could, Jeff, I just wanted to build on, kind of. So I think last week we talked about how insecure the border is and how we had an all-time, 21-year high of apprehensions on the border in May. Over 170,000 people apprehended over the last 3 months. How the Biden administration is directly responsible in their policy choices. Stop building the wall, not getting rid of the Remain in Mexico policy, not deporting people under Title 42. Basically created an open border and has really exacerbated a true humanitarian crisis on our southern border. The next piece of that is the drugs and the crime that's bringing. Last year, heartbreakingly, we had over 80,000 Americans overdose on drugs. That is an all-time high. That is more people dying in 1 year from drug overdoses than died in the entire Vietnam War in 12 years. So this is a true problem in our country. And understand, a decade ago it was about 12,000. So we've had huge increases in the number of people dying annually, and this is taking away, and this is people at all stages of life. I mean, here in McKinney, sadly we had a grandmother OD. We have children. I've talked to parents of children that have OD'd, and these are young adults that are OD'ing. So this is a really serious crisis, and the border, lack of security on the border is exacerbated. Year to date, the Border Patrol has captured more fentanyl in 5 months than they captured all of last year combined, or all-time record high in fentanyl captures. And the other thing that's happening on the border is we're watching criminals come across. And we're watching, convicted felon after convicted felon coming across, people that have been deported before that are coming back again, and because they know they can. And that is creating, and we're watching, crime go up in a lot of our major cities across the country. But fortunately, those of us that live here in Collin County, Plano, Texas, McKinney, Texas, Frisco, Texas are 3 of the 10 safest cities in America last year. But that is not the case in places like New York City and Portland and Chicago and LA, where they're having very dramatic increases in crime and murders. And it is a result of letting criminals across the border, and it's a result of defunding the police, which several Democrat cities have undertaken. And unfortunately, here in Texas and Austin, they defunded the police, and I think they're right on the verge of crossing over last year's total number of murders, and they're only halfway through the year. So it's really shocking what's happening in the city. And again, the Biden administration, their policy was a very specific, direct policy. Say, we're going to unsecure the border. We're going to let people come across, and that means letting drugs come across. It lets murderers come across, and it's letting human trafficking victims come across. And so this is a serious problem, and it is directly attributable to what the White House has done. It's an overt act. It's not a failure to act. It's a decision to act in a particular way. It's not that they just sat on their heels. And if President Biden had just gone to the beach and not touched the border, it would still be one of the most secure borders we've had. He made a decision to make it less secure.
Well, I'll tell you, I know that for a fact I've got not family members. I consider them family members that live in Eagle Pass, that live in Brownsville, and there is a direct link to crime and crossing the border. I don't know what people don't get about the fact that our borders are being used as huge trafficking zones. Come on, everybody, let's go. And now we're using humans as shields to some extent to be able to continue to commit those crimes as they cross the border.
Well, and the fact is the Border Patrol is overwhelmed. And when they have a huge surge in economic migration, it makes it easier for criminals and drugs and human traffickers to get across. And so that's what you're seeing. And it's what's interesting is this is not just a border state, border community problem. This is a national problem. This is causing drug overdoses to go up in Ohio. It's causing murders to go up in Oregon. It's causing, human trafficking victims to be spread across this country. So this is making America less safe. I think the perception maybe initially was, well, gee, that's going to make the Rio Grande Valley less safe. That's where the problem is. It's not. This is creating a national problem in terms of drug overdoses, a national problem in terms of murder rates, and it's very serious. And there are people that are dying as a result of the poor. Again, these are overaction decisions. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to get rid of this policy, the Remain in Mexico policy. We're going to do this. We're not going to build a border wall. Money was appropriated, materials were purchased, the contracts were let. Everything was ready to go. It was going, and we had a very stable border on January 19th, in the morning of January 20th, and it was destabilized in the afternoon of January 20th by President Biden. As soon as he got elected, he implemented several policies that have desecured our border.
Well, it just blows me away that with a stroke of a pen, it's almost like they were standing at the gates poised and ready.
It really does. It really does.
So,
yeah.
Well, I would like to talk because this is. Sounds
and
like,
they were.
Right.
Obviously. I mean, I think once President Trump did not win re-election, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, whether you believe the results or not. But it was like folks started lining up then. They started making their plans because it was literally a flip of the switch once that ink was dry.
Op-ed kind of moment here, Congressman Taylor. I mean, you're not going to have the answer to this, but I would like your opinion on this, right? How is it that we can continue saying things like, and I'm talking about our vice president specifically, saying things like, the previous administration caused this problem. The previous administration created this crisis. And now it's starting to shift over into other areas of government where President Biden and Vice President Harris are starting to use the same type of rhetorical attack on common sense, right? Critical race theory, the economy, jobs. They're using that same type of rhetoric, and they're getting away with it. It's okay. And I read an article, an op-ed on USA Today from a Democratic strategist where he's saying that we're a two-party system and that we really just need to get rid of all the Republicans and go to a one-party system, essentially. How do people swallow this, and why are we printing this in masses, and how do we change that? How do we change the rhetoric?
We're in challenging times, but I think we're all Americans. We all care about the future of our country, and I think what's more important than anything is humility, and just saying hey, we made a mistake. This we thought this was a good idea, and it didn't work out. But instead, there's this arrogance of I did this, therefore I'm right. I mean, what was really shocking to me was listening to Vice President Harris, who wouldn't visit the border for 90 days, and she finally went and visited, and then said, we're making progress. Well, if you look at the numbers, we're not making progress. We're going backwards. And it takes humility to say, you know what, this isn't going the way I wanted it to go. This is not what I intended. I wanted a secure border. I wanted it to go down, not up, but it's gone up. But to turn around and say, well, we're making progress is, it's just kind of it's a denial of the facts. But it's really driven out of a lack of humility. I mean, I think back to probably the greatest policy fiasco of the 20th century, which was prohibition. The people that voted for it largely were the people that voted to get rid of it because it was such a short-lived policy. And the people that voted to get rid of it, they said, "Hey, I made a mistake. I should have voted for it the first time and voted to get rid of it now." They got reelected. And I think people are generally pretty understanding when things don't go the way they thought they would go. And so voters will forgive, policymakers when policy doesn't work out. And I think but what's upsetting, and I think what's hard to forgive, is when people refuse to admit that there's a problem. And so there's a very serious problem in the U.S.-Mexican border. It's a very serious humanitarian problem, and that problem is spilling into our cities.
Yes.
It's spilling into the arms of our youth. It's spilling onto our streets, and it's very serious. And I think that the sooner the Biden administration admits they've got a problem and they need to secure the border, the better off we're all going to be.
I'll tell you, I'm just so tired of hearing them come on, and they're just lying. I mean, it's just not the truth, and it's not a variation of somebody's perception of what the truth is. They're just not facts. It's like, how can we get on social media and be told we're being fact checked, and yet the vice president and the president can go out in front of the American people and with the truth in the face of everybody say that that's not what's happening? That's not. I'm like, I just don't understand.
Well, just blatantly deny it when everybody.
Well, they don't even deny it. They just change the storyline. It's no more deniability.
It's what did they call that, JP? And we talked about this when liberals first started bringing this out. It's their truth.
Well, they're gaslighting. It's their
but also they had it. It's
I know
like
I'd make Congressman Taylor laugh. They're gaslighting America.
We're falling for it hook, line, and sinker. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's so sad.
You get Jen Psaki 2 weeks ago saying at the White House, at the podium in the White House, saying, "Well, the Republicans are the ones that want to defund the police," and it's just shocking. I mean, here the Democrats last summer started saying we need to defund the police. And Democrat city councils around the country, including in Austin, defunded the police. They absolutely did it. I mean, they took affirmative votes, and the Republicans were saying this is terrible. Don't do this. Bad. No. Stop. The whole time. And somehow, I mean, obviously it's not going well. And so Jen Psaki's trying to say, it wasn't the Democrats that won, it was the Republicans. But I can't imagine the American people are that dense. I mean, I know the squad isn't asking to be, Republicans because that's the party of defunding the police. They want to stay Democrats because that's where that idea came from, and that's where that idea is being enacted. It's not just an idea; it's an action that city councils around the country have enacted, and some of them, fortunately, are going back. I know in Austin there's an effort to undo the defund the police movement, and the mayor, the city council is fighting that. There's a plebiscite that people are so angry about the increase in murders, people dying, being shot to death in the streets of Austin. They're so upset about that crime that they're pushing on undoing the defund the police movement in Austin, Texas. I mean, Austin has cut so many police officers. They're getting rid of their gang unit. They're getting rid of their vice unit. They're getting rid of sexual crimes unit. They've gotten rid of their parks unit. There's a murder. They got rid of their lake unit. There's a murder on the lake. So they don't have a lake unit anymore. I mean, so you've got real problems as a result of these terrible Democrat policy, and they're so bad that the White House is trying to pin it on Republicans, which is just, I mean, but again, I can't imagine the American people are going to fall for this. It's so blatantly false. And really just defies the facts and the logic of what actually and the history of what transpired. It's not a very long history either. It's only a year long to go from where the idea of defund the police came from to where it is. And I'll just throw out this one other thing. I literally within maybe 24 hours of Jen Psaki saying, well, Republicans are the ones who want to defund the police, and she's just for clarity, she is the White House spokesperson, and literally within 24 hours of saying that, I got an email from a Democrat politician saying, I wear defund the police as a badge of honor. I mean, as a fundraising effort, hey, send money to me because I will defund the police. I mean, no Republicans ever done that.
That's insanity.
But this is the gaslighting. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, it
it's
is
just-
legitimate
it's just-
gaslighting. I
well,
mean,
it's just
in the
it's
entire American
horrible.
public, we need counseling for this.
Well, everybody's bought into it. And, you've got this entire, and this is something, JP and I are going to be talking about this at a later date on the show, but I'm sure you've seen some of the things going around with this younger generation in particular, college-age kids, who literally are not proud to be an American, and they're waving that like a badge of honor.
They learned it from college, by the way. They said they learned it from their college professors.
They've got college professors who hate America, so therefore they're turning around going, okay, well, I hate America too. And then you've got everything going on that you've got from, the president and the vice president and this administration that has their own narrative that doesn't really fit factually anywhere, and that it makes it where it's not okay to be patriotic anymore. There's something that's gone horribly wrong when it's bad to be patriotic.
Well, and I'd like to talk about what is patriotic when Congressman Taylor gets done with this.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that it's very sad to see this anti-American sentiment among our own people, and not really, but it's in a vacuum. Right. I mean, go look at the political stability of Turkey, or pick any country you want to. Would you rather live in China? Would you rather have the Chinese Communist Party telling you what to do and where to go, and controlling your spending and your movement? I mean, we are the freest nation on earth, and we're the best nation on earth because so many people want to come to it. I mean, we have a problem on the U.S. border because so many people want to come here. If it was so terrible, they'd be trying to get out. Not come in. And so and just to throw out a number, we give about 1.1 million new green cards every year. We're the most generous nation on earth when it comes to legal immigration, and we also naturalize another 700,000 people every single year. So foreigners come to this country and naturalize, unlike any other country on earth. Which tells you how great this country is. If people are literally dying to get here as they cross the Rio Grande River and literally drown in an effort to get here, it must be a pretty great place if it's worth risking your life for.
It's true.
And so, and look, I realize it's creating a security problem for our country right now, but it also demonstrates how great our country is.
See, I think we should round up all those college students and force them across the Rio Grande the other way. You don't like it here so much. You hate it.
Hey, go.
Why don't you cross that direction?
Well, ship them all over to Venezuela for a while. And let's see, when you're trying to share a toothbrush and.
I'll only take a couple weeks on the ground to go, okay, I get it. Let's go home.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So on a positive note, talk to us
talk about something happy.
Yeah. Well, what's going on in our district? What's going on in CD3? What things do you have coming up? Do you have internships coming up again? Do you have the art project coming up again?
Congressional Youth Advisory Council, which, you know what, Kathy, why don't you tell us about that? You have a little experience.
It's fantastic. Well, my daughter was able to participate in Congressman Johnson's final kayak Congressional Youth Advisory Council program, and then my son was very blessed to participate in your inaugural Congressional Youth Advisory Council. And it's so funny because things I had said at home and things I had talked about over the years, all of a sudden you say it on a Saturday afternoon, and he comes home, he's like, well, Congressman Taylor said such and such. I'm like, oh, okay, I never said that before, but it's great. It teaches the kids about, again, talk about patriotism. It teaches them to be proud of being involved in their local, state, and national government. Be proud of the fact that you get a chance to vote when you turn 18. Be informed. There's great debates that happen, and just so much knowledge is gained, really hands-on knowledge about the program or about your government. And I think it's so great, Congressman, because at a young age, kids get to appreciate that, hey, I can be a part of this, and I should be. And so I love it. I can't say enough great things about the program.
Well, and if next Wednesday, Congressman Taylor, if we could talk about what's going on in the district and what kids can sign up for, what they could be expecting, and when your next coffee may be, or something along those lines. That'd be great.
So the congressional, just the Congressional Youth Advisory Council, just to kind of keep this point home. Last year we had 6 meetings. One was with me. We actually had a meeting with myself and the state legislators. We had a judiciary. We had a meeting with Texas Health and Human Services professionals and the county health department to talk about the COVID response. And we had meetings with school board members, with mayors, city council members. So really to teach children, these are high school age kids, sort of 10th, 11th, 12th grade, to give them an opportunity to learn about civics, to learn about how their local government works. What's the difference between federal court and state court? What's the difference between what does the U.S. Congress handle? What does the state legislature handle? What does the county commissioners court handle? What does city council? What does the school board handle? And so, understanding, because our governmental system power is distributed among all these different groups, right? And so, in France, the school system is a national school system. It's run at the federal level by a unicameral legislature. Here, school systems are run largely at the local level with some inputs from the state level, right? So that's just one example that we go into detail and talk about all that and really try to help kids understand how does their government work, where would I go to, what handles what. And so we have a very, very, very positive response from kids that do it. They absolutely love it. They really enjoy it. And so applications are due in my office by August 5th. So if you know a young person who you think would enjoy learning about civics, and it's 6 meetings was last year's. They were on Saturdays. I think one was a Tuesday night for a particular meeting. It's a chance to learn about civics and to be part of the Van Taylor Congressional Youth Advisory Council. And the important thing, and it's taught in a nonpartisan way. There's no indoctrination of any kind. It's just hey, this is how the system works. And also kids got a chance to work on their own. We did an extra work on nonpartisan consensus legislation in the U.S. House, and they decided to work on some right-on crime legislation. So they work through different ideas in their groups, and so it's a chance to learn about the legislative process as well.
Well, I think it's cool stuff. I think it's great.
Good stuff. We appreciate you,
All right,
Congressman.
so Congressman Taylor, before we let you go, we have to decide the national debate, and we're going to have you weigh in on it. It's a national debate.
Oh, it is?
Cotto salami versus hard salami.
We're on a food kick lately, Congressman, just so you know.
So do you go with the heat pressurized meat, or you go with the fermented, salted, uncooked meat? Hard salami or Cotto salami?
It depends on what you're in the mood for, but if you're just going to ask me to start noshing on something, I think I'm going to go with the hard salami.
There you go. He's my man. Oh, bam. National debate
You
has
got
been
our
resolved. I'll go pound a sign for him now. He and I can be on the same team. Hard salami. Congressman Taylor, thank you.
Cut out the hardest questions.
Thanks, Congressman.
Hey, thank you
we
so
appreciate
much.
you.
Have a blessed day. And we'll see you next week, right?
Thanks, guys. Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All right. Thank you, Congressman Taylor. So there you go.
That's so
Hard
funny. He's like,
salami.
oh gosh, what question is this?
I know, right? It's like,
and I'm gonna go with it depends on. Now I'll take Cotto salami on a sandwich.
I just won't.
But then hard salami I like to do with crackers or with
Genoa
cheese.
salami I'll put on a sandwich.
Oh, interesting.
See, Genoa's it's hard, but not
as hard. Right.
But Cotto salami, it's like eating water mush.
Yeah, it is kind of mushy. I'll do that. Like I'll do that if I've got like roast beef and some other meats with it, kind of a thing.
So you're brave.
But I prefer and gosh, Michael and I will do this. Several times a month just for dinner when it's just the two of us, and just cut up some dry salami. And I like the kind that has the black coarse crushed pepper all around the outside of it. And take that and some really good cheese and some nice crackers and some good mustard, several versions of mustard, horseradish mustard, Making my mouth water. Okay, all these food segments make my mouth water.
Well, you ready for this? If you were to type in, this is fun.
Yeah.
If you were to type it, because there's a debate evidently.
Oh,
Cotto
we did
versus
not
hard
know.
salami. Do you know it'll produce a
Depends
paste?
on the wine I'm drinking, is what Michelle says.
Depends on the wine.
And wine does go with the hard salami.
Yeah, but see, Cotto salami is garbage. It's just garbage. It's so what they do. Do you know the process of making Cotto salami? Kathy?
I don't know that I want to know the process of making any kind of meat because
Well-
I would like to be able to eat it again.
So, but Cotto salami, they just heat it up, right? So they cook
Okay.
it. They heat it.
Right.
All right, and then you serve it as like
And that's
a
why
soft,
it's softer.
right.
Okay.
And so whereas the hard salamis are generally cured, I mean it fermented and salted, and good stuff.
Well, and those are like I would never eat a piece of Cotto salami just by itself or on a cracker. Whereas dry salami, oh yeah, I'll cut a couple of pieces of that up and grab that for lunch and be a happy camper.
So facts
It
about
really is
hard
making my mouth
salami. Facts about hard
water.
salami.
Yeah.
Did you know that if you were to cut a piece of salami off
Yes.
of the stick and take the casing off, right?
Right.
Set it on your counter for 3 days. After 3 days, it starts to lose its flavor.
Well, what?
Not in
First
the
of all,
refrigerator?
I don't think I'm going to keep it on my counter.
Well, but
but
remember, it doesn't go bad because
Yeah.
it's been fermented, right?
I know, but bugs could get on it. You know,
But do you know, though, if you leave the hard salami in its casing, you don't ever
it doesn't lose its flavor.
and you don't have to ever refrigerate it.
Right, and I knew that. But once you cut it up and take that casing off, then you've got to put it back in your refrigerator.
Right.
Yeah,
So, and did you know that not only is it fermented, but it's air dried
did not know
at
that.
room temperature for 30 to 40 days?
Huh? Did not know that.
See, there you go. More things you
Yeah,
get to
I know.
learn.
I'm a big fan of salami. The only thing is there's just so much sodium in it, but it's so good. It's just so good.
Do you know why they add nitrates to hard salami?
I don't know, to keep it around, to keep it.
Keep the bacteria and the fungus out.
Oh yeah, because it's got that moisture. So yeah, you
Right.
could get the fungus and the mold real quick.
Right.
That doesn't make it sound very appetizing.
Now, do you know
But, okay, so what kind of mustard do you eat with your salami?
brown? Hello, brown
Yeah.
spicy.
See, 'cause
Yellow, really? Yellow, really?
I'm brown spicy.
Brown
I'm
spicy.
also horseradish
You can go with
mustard
that. I can live with
or
that.
jalapeno mustard. One of those is always good.
I don't know. I think you're crossing over.
Oh, well, and have you ever done the salami or the hard dry salami that has little chunks of jalapeno and cheddar in it?
Well, is that hard salami or is that summer sausage? Because I've never heard of that being a hard salami.
Yeah. They've got the cheddar
I
kind, the
gotta
hard
Google.
kind. Yeah, they've got the cheddar kind.
I have to Google.
Yeah, up
it.
at Kroger.
Did you say up my Kroger?
Up at Kroger,
Oh.
near my Olive Bar.
Hold on, I got to look this.
And we've got to do a whole segment talking about food on Olive Bars. Because during the pandemic, when all the Olive Bars were shut down, that was like a major issue for me. Because if there's one night a week that I'm the only one at home eating dinner, JP knows where I'm going. I'm hitting the Olive Bar.
See, that's more of a summer sausage.
No, but they've got the kind that are hard, that have the spices in it.
They're not agreeing with you.
Well,
The Google's
it's good.
not.
It's good. It's good stuff.
Now,
And
type in
but
a
my
hard
favorite.
salami with jalapeno and cheese in it.
My favorite one is the cracked pepper. I think it's like Boar's Head has a really good one. Is
Yeah, but is
Boar's
that
Head
a
what I'm
hard
thinking?
salami or is that a
The
Genoa
hard
salami?
I think it's hard salami with the black
'Cause
pepper around it.
Genoa's not hard salami. It is a harder salami.
See, I don't know the difference between
there's a Cotto.
Genoa.
See, there's a Cotto versus Genoa versus hard salami.
Okay, so there's somewhere in between.
That could be.
I like the ones that have all the pepper on the outside. Next time I'm at Kroger, I'll send you a picture of the one I like.
See, now I'm looking now, and I'm seeing the Genoa salami has the jalapenos and the.
Then maybe that's what I see. I
See,
didn't
here it
realize
is
there's
right
a
here.
difference.
And they
I didn't
call
realize
it-
there's a difference between Genoa and.
See, and they still call it summer sausage. It's a pork summer sausage
Right.
still.
Right.
So yeah, see, the hard is hard. Like generally, it's just the salami because of the way they do the cooking.
Okay. See, then I didn't realize there's a difference.
So, but
You
with that
know?
being said, it could be out there, and I could be very wrong. So, Lord knows that has been more often than not.
Dr. Good said, I'm so glad the salami talk happened after Van Taylor and not after me. Oh, Dr.
That's
Good,
funny.
we can always bring a question back next week.
We can. So, so again, Susan Schuler says hard salami all the way with crackers and good cheese. It's the best.
Yes.
Amen. Dr. Good says
Yep.
processed meats leads to cancer. Just saying. So does breathing, though, Dr. Good. You and I disagree on this because I think that I walk around, I'm going to catch it anyways because I'm breathing. Let's see. So glad the salami talk happened after my hair.
Yeah.
And it's all baloney to me. Dr. Good, you've just offended my taste buds. It is not all baloney.
Okay, and then bologna's a whole nother segment we need to talk about
today,
one day.
Yeah, today is hard salami versus cotto.
Yeah, because bologna's a whole nother thing. What is in bologna?
No, you're not.
That's
gonna
another
do that.
day.
No, another
Okay,
day.
it's another day.
So again, my big
Stay
thing is
tuned.
cotto or hard. See, to me, cotto is just this soft, mushy stuff that just doesn't have good flavor.
Have you not ever had cotto in on a sub, like at Jersey
Yeah.
Mike's or Subway or something like that, mixed with a bunch of other things?
Not as good.
You just prefer? Well, no. And I'm not saying
That's what I'm
if you
saying,
had to
hard
choose
salami.
one over another, but then I don't even think of cotto salami in the category of when I think of salami, I think of cutting it up on the board, getting some good cheese, getting some good mustard. I agree with Michelle. Get some good wine. The other, to me, is only for a sandwich. And it's only for a sandwich if you have multiple meats and cheeses in it.
So you have to open your eyeballs to Genoa and hard salami with a provolone and mozzarella mix.
Bring it in.
That's a sandwich.
Bring it in. See, now, is the hard salami not too hard to eat on a sandwich,
no, you
though?
just got to bite down and use those teeth.
Guess maybe cut it in a little bit thinner of a slice or
Well,
something.
you can, I'm just saying, I just bite down.
You just tear into it
Just
with
bite
your
down and
teeth.
go at it. It's a sandwich. I'm telling you. So for me, it's hard salami. All right, for the crew, I mean, do you like cotto salami or do you prefer hard salami? And again, for me, when you do a hard salami, it better be a German mustard or a brown spicy mustard, or it can be a horseradish mustard.
Yes, something. It can't. Well, just
yellow
regular
mustard?
yellow
No.
mustard. Now, if I, which is very rare that I would only have yellow mustard, I'll do that. But that's only if that's all I have.
Hard
Which again, in my house, usually there's 9 kinds of mustards.
Right.
There's literally a whole shelf is just condiments.
All right, let's see. Michelle says Kayla has a cheese and meat platter in the fridge every week as her snack. I may have a 5
love it.
p.m. wine and join her. That's
Love
fun.
it.
How fun is
I
that?
love it. That's fun.
That is way
That
fun.
is fun. That's
So,
good times.
all right.
And
just-
Piper lost another tooth today.
Oh,
so
there you go.
The tooth fairy visited Piper, and inflation has hit. She got $8.
I need to lose a tooth.
I'm
Coach.
like, man.
So Fred
So
says
yay,
my baloney
Piper.
has a first. It's OSCAR.
Oh,
And it had a second
Fred.
name. It's
Love you, Fred.
NYPR. You're killing me, Fred. So just also in some news, which to me is kind of sad. I thought we were beyond this. I thought it was more TV than anything else. President of Haiti was assassinated in his home, and his wife shot next to him. Wife is in critical condition in the
my
hospital.
gosh.
President of Haiti died. He had stopped free elections over the last 2 years and had started to impose his will. I get that. I get you've got a tyrant possibly. Let's unseat a tyrant. But to assassinate, I thought that was something of the past, and evidently it is not. And so we have
just a good
full-blown-
old-fashioned overthrow of the government.
You wasn't going to
Wow,
do it.
I had not heard that. Did that just happen this
Just
week?
happened Wednesday night, late Wednesday
wow.
night. Well, yeah, because I guess over there it's earlier than here, or early Wednesday morning. So
Okay.
this morning, probably around, I don't know what time.
Okay, whatever time.
In the morning
okay, but
early.
literally just happened. So
Yes, and so prayers go out to the folks in Haiti. I guess it's unstable anyways, but to assassinate again, I thought that was a movie thing. I didn't think we did that anymore.
and thank goodness, again, we live in America. Now, obviously, I mean, we're sitting here, bashing the current administration this morning. We don't agree with them. We don't agree with the majority of the policies, but that's never a consideration. That's just not a consideration. Now, what we're doing right now, I was just at Dallas County Republican headquarters with the, Deanna got me a chance to meet with the co-chairman of the Republican National Committee. We're already working. We're already talking voter registration drives and all kinds of good stuff. We're already working on 2024. That's how you handle it. Right. And God bless us and God bless this country that we live in, that we get to handle our business like that. If you don't like the current administration, you know what? Get off your rear end. Go vote.
And go vote.
Go vote.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just real that simple.
Well, and don't allow 100,000 of the people that are no longer on the rolls to vote. That's always a good thing too.
If someone's 170, they might not still be around.
I think I hear the music starting.
Do we hear the music?
I think I hear the music starting.
Or is that
taking
just
us
in
out
your
the
head?
door. No, it could be in my head too. So, but
Love
yeah,
y'all.
before a presidential election, clean up your voter rolls. Georgia, he threw out 100,000. 100,000 people got cast out of the election process in Georgia post-presidential election because they no longer were a part of the election process. But yet those people were on the rolls to get to vote.
And you had people who literally were like, and not that there aren't people that live to be 102 or 110, but it's very rare when you had page after page after page of people over 100 who are voting. Does it not kind of make you go, do they have the Fountain of Youth there and we don't know about it, or what's the situation?
Right.
You know,
well, these are people that had moved. These are people that no longer had not voted in a long time.
People who voted in another state because they've lived in another state for 10 years, but they were still on the voter rolls and somehow voted in that state too.
And it was great seeing Fred. Fred hosted a little barbecue. Enjoyed
That's
that.
So nice.
Thank you, Fred.
That's so nice.
Yep. Carter got to do his first swim. Oh, before we leave, we got to do the unveil.
So he looked like he was having so much fun.
Look what Kathy brought.
Yeah, that's
It's
from
an
me and Michael
unveil.
and Emily and CJ.
Oh,
So
so here we got an
little
unveil. So we
little
do.
something fun.
You can play the music. We like the music.
Yeah,
So
we
we're
like
gonna
to
take
sing
it
to
out
it.
one piece of paper at a time. Oh, there's something heavy.
There's
Let's
several
see.
things in there.
Oh, let's see.
It's a theme.
Oh, look how fun is that. He's going to love that. It's Eric Carl.
Yeah, that Eric
How
Carl,
fun.
who just passed away at 91,
Right.
just a month before last, I think. My
Didn't we
kids
talk about it?
loved The Very
we talked-
Hungry Caterpillar and loved all of his books.
Oh, my goodness.
So Carter's got his own Very Hungry Caterpillar stuffed animal. He's got his own little activity set, and for his dad to read to him at night.
Do
And
we have a book?
this is one of my kids' favorite
Oh,
books.
this is a nice
Must have
book.
read this to Emily and CJ 5 billion times. The Very Hungry Caterpillar
look at
book.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy, Emily, CJ, and Michael.
You're welcome.
So, Kathy, I got to have you sign this to Carter.
Yes, and
So he knows it's from you guys.
and I did not do that yet. I was going to make sure you were okay with that because I always like to write in the books. But I didn't know if maybe you already had that or anything.
Nope,
so
don't have this book.
wanted to double
So
check.
love that, though. So, and I'm thinking about throwing my own baby shower.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I
Good
think I might do
times.
that.
Good times.
I'd like to
Good
throw my baby shower.
times.
If I had a house, I would throw it in.
Move into that house and I'll help you throw it.
Yeah, no kidding. So Carter says thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, just, there's nothing better than, Dr. Good's always talking about reading and things. There's just nothing better, and you can't ever make up for the time that if you don't read to your kids while they're little, you don't ever get that time back. And like literally, my kids have vivid memories about different books, this being one of them, a number of Eric Carl's books being those books. Great memories. They still remember the sounds I made, the voices I used, and it turns your kids on to reading. It really does. It really does. So enjoy, and Carter, we love you.
Thank you so much. All right, everybody have a great, great Wednesday. It is not Monday. And I will see you on Friday. Wish Kathy happy trails as she's traveling over to the East Coast
Yep.
with
Heading to
CJ
Boston.
heading to Berkeley.
And Berkeley College of Music for camp. And thank you again to all of you, JP, for your generous donation to help CJ with this fundraiser to get to Boston. So we are leaving Friday. He checks into the dorm Saturday and starts classes on Monday. So very excited, bittersweet for me. Super excited for him, but then I'm like, okay, I've never left one of my children outside of the immediate vicinity of the DFW area for more than for 5 weeks. So
there we go.
whew.
All right, everybody have a blessed week. As the music goes
y'all.
up, we will see y'all.
Thanks, Dr. Good.
Well, I'll see you on Friday. And have a great rest of your week.